Yo, what's good everybody? Welcome along to 5 top tips to improve your breakdown. Today we're going to be covering, it's a massive state the obvious. In our session at the moment we have our bass house inspired track from scratch. If you haven't watched the series, yeah, it's one of my personal favorites. It's so much fun. We basically made this entire track from scratch. Oh, good times, good memories. So in the 5 top tips mini series we have covered the build ups and drops, and now we're working on the breakdown. So I thought I'd use this track for an example because A, I haven't heard it in a while, and B, it's got a pretty sick breakdown, so I'm keen to work on it. That is the breakdown at the moment. I'm going to add a few more bits to it as I cover the 5 top tips in this series, but for now, it's got most of the things I was going to talk about in this video actually. Alright, so tip number 1, it's a biggie most people know about, I'd say. It is rises and down sweeps. For example, they just sound like big whooshing sounds and look like that. What I don't have in this is a riser, so I'm going to steal one from over here. If you're in need of some down sweeps and rises, link in the description. 50k pack, got heaps of them in there. With rises and down sweeps, just easily transitions the energy down or builds it up. If you don't have any rises or down sweeps and want a cool effect, what I can recommend is, so we've got a sound like that. Check it, massive reverb on it, dry wet all the way up, decay kind of all the way up. And that's kind of a simple down sweep slash echoey, reverby sound, which works, so I don't know why I didn't do that in the original, actually, that sounds mad. Rises and down sweeps, transition, energy, boom, simple. The reverb on the sounds, like the huge reverb which we got here on the vocal, is actually one of my top tips, so we're going to do it for another instance and maybe check on some delay as well, just to really hit that idea home, because it's an important one, you know? That's a cool sound. Reverb. Maybe a bit too much. This is like a built-in EQ kind of thing, the input processing, which is pretty cool. Might check a delay before that. Ping pong, so it goes left and right. And yeah, transition and energy. It needs to be louder. Where's OTT at? Tip number 3 would be try to have a bit more variation with your chords or basses, not just stick to, say if your track's in F sharp minor, don't just stick to F sharp the entire track. Like, breakdown's a perfect way to introduce some new ideas. That's a lot of hand motion. Introduce some new ideas, different chord progressions, etc, etc. So this track is in the key of F minor, and you notice once we get to the actual break, the first note is not F minor. It drops down to a C sharp, then a D sharp, then an F again, hits home to that original root note. If you're unfamiliar, like me, with the different notes and the chord progressions, I'm getting a bit better though. You can head over to the MIDI tools, scale, load up whether yours is a major or minor, ours is minor, and then change this to F. So whatever note you do on the keyboard, it's going to lock it into the scale, so whatever notes you play are not going to be incorrect, so you can have some fun, come up with different crazy ass chord progressions or bass progressions or etc, etc. I'm pretty thrilled with this one at the moment. And then back to F. So for example, if we just had a solid F note because our key is F minor, didn't add some any spice or variation to it, and just left it at that, it might sound a little bit stale. It works, but it's not, actually it's kind of sick. Damn it, it's not proving my point well. It actually sounds pretty cool. But honestly, when it comes to breakdowns, it's the perfect time to introduce new chord progressions and not just stick to the same note throughout the entire track. So we will go back to normal. I feel like the psychology behind it is your track doesn't appear to be stale. If your listener's getting slightly bored, hopefully they're not, and then you start to introduce a new chord progression, they're like, yo, something new's coming in. You know, I might stick around to see how it pans out. We're sliding on into tip number 4, and that is using your filters to your advantage. For example, we have a cowbell here. I love the cowbell. And it is low passing itself into our next section. You could high pass stuff, you could low pass stuff, you could band pass stuff. Who knows what you're feeling? If you introduce something with a low pass, it kind of sits under that white noise and like brings itself in. That's a really mint way to transition energy, which is what the breakdown's all about. So yeah, just a simple example here. We have some cowbell. And you can see our automations moving the low pass up a little bit. So let's hear it with the low pass. The low pass is coming in, the rise is coming in. It's just, oh shit, something's about to happen. If I could sum up breakdown in one word, it'd be transition. Old ideas to new ideas, or it's really just a new section to give the listener a break from. Yeah, filtering, low pass, high pass, they're both mint. Moving on to the last point, the fifth top tip, it kind of contradicts itself here. I was gonna say use old leads from different sections of the track. For example, if you got like a lead or a motif in the build or the intro, now would be a perfect time to slot it into the breakdown, but just like have it subtly there, just to kind of like really tie the track into the beginning of the track since you're introducing new elements. I was gonna say that, but then I've got a new element here. For example, let's just mute that and let's find something cool we can poach from the intro or the build and chuck it in our build up. I reckon that vocal chop could work pretty well. Alright, actual break, here we go, chock it in here. Chock it in here, nice. So we're gonna low pass our original idea from the intro one. Oh, because we had that going in the background. Hold up. Let's hear it by itself. We're low passing that vocal chop in. Seems to be working. Filtering, yet again showing itself. Maybe because I've heard this track so many times, I actually think this new vocal thing that I introduced is working better than the original introduction vocal chop. So what I'm gonna say to that is, you know, maybe try some new ideas, maybe use some old ideas. Who knows what will work, just try it out, see what happens, have some fun. Quick recap, number one, rises and down sweeps. How transition the energy down, build it back up. Number two, if you're introducing some new chord progressions or bass progressions, try some different notes, not just the same note that you decided to use for the drop all the time. Now's a perfect time since it's the breakdown to introduce some new chord progressions or melodies, etc, etc. Didn't start on F, even though we're in F minor, it dropped down to C sharp, which is banging. Tip number three, big reverb or delay on different elements. We had this mini vocal chop thing. We chucked a huge reverb on it with decay time of 30 seconds. Never mind, that's rookie numbers. Dry wet all the way up. Maybe a little bit of EQ here to kick off that low end just a little bit. Again, they work seamlessly with the down sweeps. How I'm just getting sick of saying the word transition energy. Tip number four was to use your filters, whether it be a low pass filter or a high pass filter. In this instance, for this track, I decided to use a cheeky low pass filter on the cowbell to introduce more cowbell, because I like cowbell. But yeah, you can do this on other percussion, other drum loops, other melodies, leads, etc, etc. Doesn't just have to be limited to this percussive sound in particular. And lastly, top tip number five is to poach different things from your intro or your build up or the previous part of the track and then introduce them into the breakdown. So what that does is it helps transition, not the energy, it helps transition the ideas and the different melodies from your first part of the track into the breakdown and then into the second part of the track. So the breakdown of the track shares some familiar ideas from the intro. Just a nice little energy transition. Hopefully you got the gist of all the ideas and I didn't over explain them. Yeah, if you are going for a similar breakdown like mine, try not to have too many elements in it, keep it fairly stripped back, because the next part, slap them in. Breakbeat section. Hopefully you did enjoy it, leave a big thumbs up if you did. I'm gonna play the track from the breakdown so you can get an idea of what the hell I've been talking about the entire time and put it in context. Thanks for watching and I'll see you next Sunday. Have a great day and peace.